So I saw this breaking news. Iron Mike Tyson rushed to the hospital and stuff like that. So let me just share with you guys the details that we know so far.
Mike Tyson recently had a medical emergency as the 57-year-old boxing legend experienced nausea and dizziness on a flight from Miami to Los Angeles. After the scare, the boxing legend took to X to reassure fans that everything was fine and that the fight would go ahead as planned. Michael Bisping recently revealed shocking details regarding Mike Tyson's current poor health and also claimed that he isn't fit for the July 20th fight.
Ulcer flare-up. I don't know anything about ulcers, but what I do know is that the man is going to be 58 years old soon. A man in the prime of his life doesn't have a problem sitting on a plane for a few hours. That's getting a...
Iron Mike's health condition is far more complicated than we know. But what statement did Mike Tyson make after his health scare? Did Jake Paul respond? Will this fight still go ahead? Stick around and watch as we find out in this video. We all believed that the upcoming Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight scheduled for July 20th would go ahead smoothly. After all, both fighters recently concluded the first press conference before its highly anticipated showdown, and both fighters seemed excited to entertain the fans with this unusual but epic boxing match. Recently, however, we learned that Mike Tyson had an emergency while on a flight, and now everyone is once again doubting whether this fight will, or rather, should ever take place. So, in case you don't already know, Iron Mike had a medical emergency while on a plane from Miami to Los Angeles. According to eyewitnesses, it was a sweltering day in Miami, leading to the flight getting delayed for an hour. Fans initially had no idea about the medical emergency Iron Mike suffered mid-flight. However, Tyson's representatives later confirmed that the boxing legend felt nauseous and dizzy due to an ulcer flare-up 30 minutes before landing in LA. Thankfully, Mr. Tyson is doing great, Tyson's representatives told the Post in an email later. They also mentioned that he received medical attention as soon as they landed in Los Angeles. An eyewitness who was on the plane later revealed that Mike had some kind of medical emergency on the plane and paramedics boarded. Before the paramedics arrived, the flight issued an announcement asking for a doctor. The message even came on everyone's screens, the source revealed. The reported medical scare delayed passengers leaving the plane for 25 minutes. He was in first class, but we were in an exit row and the stewardess was very chatty. They asked us to stay on the plane and landed so paramedics could enter, another source revealed. She said something like, "He's a really important passenger, so we want to make sure he's okay." I knew it was him, but I just mouthed the words, "Mike Tyson," and she nodded her head yes. After the scare, many concerned fans were wondering whether this fight would go ahead. However, Iron Mike recently took to X and assured fans that he was feeling 100%. He also sent a verbal jab at Paul, rating that he doesn't need to be fully fit to defeat a boxing influencer. Fans, however, are not convinced, with many sending well wishes for the boxing legend. One user wrote, "Mr. Tyson, please take care of yourself. There are people who look up to you with gratitude and fondness. Whether you fight or not, you will always be a champion on so many levels." Another user wrote, "Haha, I can't wait to watch this fight. One more KO for Iron Mike." A third user requested Tyson to withdraw from this fight. They said, "Don't fight Mike. You've got nothing to prove." The boxing world has also been sharing its reactions to Iron Mike's latest medical emergency. Boxing YouTuber Showbiz. The adult expressed significant concern upon hearing the news about Mike Tyson's latest medical emergency. Upon learning of Tyson's emergency, Showbiz shared details, emphasizing that Tyson's representative confirmed he was doing great after experiencing nausea and dizziness due to an ulcer flare-up during a flight. This news reassured Showbiz, who initially feared it might be a heart issue given Tyson's age and high-energy lifestyle. Showbiz mentioned that many fans suggested Tyson should pull out of his upcoming fight with Jake Paul. However, he noted there was no indication that the fight would be canceled. Showbiz reflected on Tyson's age, pointing out how people often refer to him as 60, though he is actually 58, and emphasized that Tyson is in a different physical condition than most people his age.
You know, he's 58 and everybody say, man, Mike's 60, 60, 60. And I'm defending Mike like he's a different kind of 60. You know, he's 58, he's not 60, but still, we're rounding up.
Despite the initial scare, Showbiz was relieved to hear that Tyson was just nauseous and not suffering from a more severe condition. He acknowledged Tyson's history with ulcers and reassured his audience that Tyson was recovering well. Showbiz criticized the vague and alarming headlines on social media, which caused unnecessary panic among fans. Michael Bisping also discussed Mike Tyson's current condition with a mix of concern and critique. Bisping started by noting the problematic timing of the incident, especially given Tyson's upcoming fight against Jake Paul is just a little over a month away. He emphasized that while Tyson is an incredibly experienced and respected boxer, his age and health are significant concerns. Bisping detailed the incident, explaining how paramedics had to attend to Tyson on the plane due to the medical emergency. He pointed out that this does not bode well for promoting a fight, especially considering Tyson's age and the physical demands of boxing. Bisping also expressed skepticism about the severity of the ulcer, suggesting that Tyson's age might be the more significant issue.
He once was. Mike Tyson, I love listening to him speak, but he speaks with the cadence of an older man these days. If he's speaking a little bit slower because he's older, he's going to be throwing his hands.
Reflecting on Tyson's condition, Bisping mentioned that Tyson's performance in training videos might not accurately represent his current capabilities, as these clips are often edited to highlight only the best moments. He voiced concerns about Tyson's ability to sustain high performance over multiple rounds against a younger, prime athlete like Jake Paul. Bisping acknowledged Tyson's legendary status, but stressed that age inevitably affects physical and mental sharpness. Furthermore, Bisping criticized Jake Paul for targeting older fighters past their prime, viewing it as a strategy to enhance his record without facing true challenges. He highlighted Paul's pattern of choosing opponents like Anderson Silva and Tyron Woodley, who were significantly older or not in their peak form. Bisping labeled this approach as embarrassing and a disservice to the sport of boxing. Despite his critical stance, Bisping expressed his admiration for Tyson and wished him well, hoping he could still pose a significant challenge to Paul. He concluded by reiterating his skepticism about the ulcer explanation and emphasized that Tyson's age and health should be taken seriously. Bisping urged viewers to consider the implications of Tyson's condition and the nature of the upcoming fight. Speaking of Jake Paul, how did he react to the latest update on this fight? Well, his response to Iron Mike's condition was controversial, to say the least. On Monday, a day after the emergency, Paul hopped on his X feed to share his thoughts on the development. Presumably fuming at the thought of what had transpired, he wrote, "You love to make *T up before knowing the facts for clicks, likes. Nothing changed, #Paul Tyson." Fans immediately reacted to Paul's post, trolling him in the process. One user wrote, "Be ashamed of yourself. You're fighting a 60-year-old man and claiming it's the hardest ever." Another user commented, "You be ashamed of yourself, fighting an old man who's in a wheelchair." A third user wrote, "Jake, if you have anything about you here, you'd cancel the fight and face somebody else in the main event. Plenty of people would step in even on short notice." Former MMA fighter Chael Sonnen recently discussed the potential jeopardy of the fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul in light of Tyson's recent medical emergency. He explored several angles that could impact the fight's continuation and emphasized the complexities involved in such high-profile events.
There's other goals here than just pulling off Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, right? Like there's a business at play and some of the inner workings. There's hiring and personnel and some decisions that are going to need to be made.
Sonnen pointed out that once a fight is approved by the commission, it's unlikely to be canceled due to media reports. However, he noted that the decision isn't solely up to Tyson and his team. Jake Paul and his management would also play a significant role based on public perception and media pressure. He explained that the media could escalate the situation by releasing more details and footage, which could create a narrative that Tyson is unfit to fight. He stressed that if a public relations company tries to downplay the incident, it might backfire, leading to increased scrutiny and potentially more damaging stories. Sonnen highlighted that while the commission typically doesn't cancel fights based on internet articles, they might reconsider if substantial evidence or media pressure mounts, even if it leads to legal battles afterward. Sonnen also speculated on the business implications and logistics of replacing Tyson if the fight can't go ahead. He mentioned the possibility of elevating another fighter, such as Amanda Serrano, who is on the undercard, or even bringing in a new main event. He acknowledged that finding a suitable replacement for Tyson is challenging due to his unique draw and legacy. Considering potential replacements, Sonnen suggested names like Darren Till, although he admitted it's a stretch. He also mentioned Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz, despite acknowledging their contractual complications with the UFC. Ultimately, he proposed Mike Perry as a realistic option due to his availability and reputation, which could satisfy both the promotional and competitive aspects needed to replace Tyson effectively. Sonnen concluded by emphasizing the necessity of having a backup plan and the likelihood that such a contingency might already be in place. He reiterated the importance of choosing a replacement who not only meets the event's requirements, but also maintains the fight's credibility and appeal. The experts feel that this fight is going to go ahead as planned and that it's too late for this epic showdown to be canceled. But what do you think? Are you eager to see this fight happen? Let us know in the comments.